Did you know that 65% of top movies and books use conflict as their main storytelling tool? It's true. Conflict isn't just about fights and battles. It's the heart of every great story. Without it, stories fall flat. They become forgettable. But with conflict, stories come to life. They grip us, make us care, and stay with us long after they end. Consider this: 73% of people remember stories better than facts. Why? Because stories with conflict engage our brains. They make us feel emotions and see the world in new ways. This is why conflict is your secret weapon in storytelling. It can turn a good story into a great one. In this video, we'll dive deep into the power of conflict. We'll explore why stories thrive on tension and how to find hidden conflicts in everyday life. You'll learn how to create relatable heroes through struggle and craft villains that you can't help but root for. We'll also look at emotional and psychological battles and the magic of unlikely allies. Ready to transform your storytelling? Let's uncover the secrets of conflict and make your stories unforgettable. Stay tuned, and by the end of this video, you'll have the tools to captivate any audience. Chapter 1: The Power of Conflict. Why stories thrive on tension. Did you know that 73% of people remember stories better than plain facts? That's because stories with conflict engage our brains on a deeper level. Conflict creates tension, and tension keeps us hooked. Think about your favorite movie. It's the tension between characters that makes you care about what happens next. Conflict isn't just about big battles or dramatic arguments. It can be as simple as an internal struggle. Take Frodo from The Lord of the Rings. His battle isn't just with external forces but also within himself. This internal conflict makes his journey relatable. But why does conflict work so well? It's because it mirrors real life. We all face challenges and obstacles. When a story shows conflict, it reflects our own struggles, making it relatable and engaging. Psychologist Melanie Green found that people immersed in stories showed higher empathy levels. So, when you add conflict to your story, you're not just creating tension, you're building a bridge to your audience's hearts. A great example is Harry Potter. The central conflict between Harry and Voldemort drives the entire series. But smaller conflicts, like Harry's struggles with identity and belonging, add layers to the story. This combination keeps readers invested. How can you use this in your storytelling? Start by identifying the core conflict. Is it a battle against an external force or an internal struggle? Then, layer in smaller conflicts to add depth. Remember, conflict doesn't have to be dramatic. Even subtle tensions can make a story compelling. Try this exercise. Think about a personal experience with conflict. Write it down, focusing on the tension and resolution. This practice can help you understand how to weave conflict into your stories naturally. Chapter 2: Hidden Conflicts. Uncovering subtle tensions in everyday stories. Not all conflicts are obvious. Sometimes, the most compelling stories come from subtle tensions. Imagine a story where everything seems perfect. No one would watch, right? But add a small, hidden conflict, and you've got intrigue. Take the TV show, The Office. The everyday setting might seem mundane, but it's the subtle tensions between characters that keep us watching. Jim's playful pranks on Dwight create a light-hearted conflict that adds humor and keeps the audience engaged. Subtle conflicts can also highlight character flaws. In Breaking Bad, Walter White's initial struggle is mundane, financial problems. But this subtle conflict sets the stage for his transformation into a drug lord. It's the small, hidden tensions that lead to explosive outcomes. But how do you find these hidden conflicts? Start by observing real life. People often hide their true feelings, creating undercurrents of tension. Incorporate these observations into your stories to add realism and depth. Here's a tip: use dialogue to reveal hidden conflicts. Subtext, the unspoken meaning behind words, can show tension without direct confrontation. In Pride and Prejudice, Mr. Darcy's seemingly cold comments hide his internal conflict about his feelings for Elizabeth. This subtext creates intrigue and keeps readers engaged. Practice writing dialogues with hidden tensions. Focus on what characters don't say. This technique can make your stories more engaging and realistic. Chapter 3: The Hero Struggle, Crafting Relatable Characters Through Conflict. Great stories need great characters, and great characters are forged through conflict. Did you know that 65% of successful movies feature protagonists who overcome significant struggles? Conflict shapes characters and makes them relatable. Think of Katniss Everdeen from The Hunger Games. Her struggle isn't just about surviving the games. It's about protecting her loved ones and fighting against an oppressive system. These conflicts reveal her bravery and vulnerability, making her a compelling character. Character conflict can come from many sources: other characters, society, or even within themselves. In To Kill a Mockingbird, Scout faces societal conflict as she learns about racism and injustice. This external conflict shapes her growth and understanding of the world. But conflict alone isn't enough. It's how characters respond to it that matters. Resilience in the face of adversity is what makes characters heroic. In Moby Dick, Captain Ahab's obsessive conflict with the whale reveals his tragic flaws, making him a memorable, albeit flawed, hero. To create relatable characters, give them personal stakes. What do they stand to lose? Personal stakes make conflicts meaningful. In Spider-Man, Peter Parker's struggle to balance his superhero duties with his personal life makes his conflicts relatable. Here's a strategy: write a character's backstory focusing on their past conflicts. This history can inform their actions and decisions in your story, adding depth and realism. Conflict also drives character development. As characters face and overcome obstacles, they grow. In The Great Gatsby, Gatsby's conflict with his past and unrequited love for Daisy drives his actions and ultimate downfall. His journey, though tragic, is compelling. Antagonists are more than just obstacles for your hero. Did you know that 82% of top-rated stories feature complex villains? A well-crafted villain can add layers to your narrative and make it unforgettable. Consider Darth Vader from Star Wars. He's not just a villain, he's a tragic hero with a compelling backstory. His internal conflict between the dark side and his residual goodness makes him fascinating. As George Lucas said, the villain is the hero of their own story. To create a memorable antagonist, give them clear motivations. Why are they doing what they're doing? In Black Panther, Killmonger's motivations are rooted in real-world issues like oppression and inequality. This makes him more relatable and his conflict more engaging. Another key strategy is to show their vulnerabilities. In Harry Potter, Voldemort's fear of death drives his actions. This vulnerability makes him more human and his conflict with Harry more compelling. Avoid one-dimensional villains. Give them qualities that the audience can empathize with. In Les Miserables, Inspector Javert's strict adherence to the law makes him a formidable antagonist, but also highlights his inner struggle, making him a character we understand, even if we don't agree with him. A tip: write scenes from the antagonist's perspective. This can help you understand their motivations and create a more rounded character. In The Dark Knight, scenes from the Joker's point of view reveal his chaotic nature and philosophy, making him a compelling foil to Batman. Chapter 5: Conflict Beyond Fists. Emotional and psychological battles in storytelling. Conflict doesn't always have to be physical. Some of the most engaging stories involve emotional and psychological battles. These conflicts can be deeply personal and resonate strongly with your audience. In The Kite Runner, Amir's internal conflict over his betrayal of Hassan drives the narrative. This emotional struggle makes the story powerful and moving. Khaled Hosseini captures this beautifully, saying, "The past claws its way out." Psychological conflicts can also add suspense. In Fight Club, the protagonist's battle with his own mind creates a gripping narrative. This type of conflict can make your story unpredictable and keep readers on the edge of their seats. To create effective emotional conflict, focus on your character's desires and fears. What do they want, and what are they afraid of? In Pride and Prejudice, Elizabeth Bennet's internal struggle with her feelings for Mr. Darcy drives much of the plot. Use dialogue and inner monologue to reveal these conflicts. This can help your audience connect with your characters on a deeper level. In Jane Eyre, Charlotte Bronte uses Jane's inner thoughts to show her emotional struggles, making her journey compelling. Here's a technique: write a scene where your character faces a difficult choice. This can highlight their internal conflict and add depth to your story. In The Road, the father's constant struggle between survival and maintaining his humanity adds a powerful emotional layer. Chapter 6: Unexpected Allies. How contradictory relationships fuel conflict. Unlikely partnerships can add unique conflict to your story. These relationships often start with tension and evolve into something more complex and interesting. Take Sherlock Holmes. The dynamic between Sherlock and Watson is full of contradictions. Sherlock's aloofness contrasts with Watson's empathy, creating a compelling partnership that fuels the narrative. Arthur Conan Doyle said, "There is nothing more stimulating than a case where everything goes against you. Unlikely allies can reveal different facets of your characters." In The Hunger Games, Katniss and Haymitch start with mutual distrust. But as they work together, their conflicting traits create a rich dynamic. To create these relationships, start with characters who have opposing goals or traits. Their initial conflict can create engaging tension. In Shrek, the titular ogre and donkey start with opposing personalities, which makes their eventual friendship more meaningful. These partnerships can also drive character development. In Breaking Bad, the partnership between Walter White and Jesse Pinkman evolves from mistrust to a complex, mentor-student relationship. This evolution adds depth to both characters. Chapter 7: Conflict Resolutions. Crafting satisfying and surprising endings. Crafting a satisfying ending is both an art and a science. A good resolution ties up the story's conflicts while leaving a lasting impression on the audience. Statistics show that 74% of viewers are more likely to recommend a story with a satisfying ending. Think about The Shawshank Redemption. The resolution of Andy Dufresne's struggle for freedom is both surprising and satisfying. Stephen King, the author, said, "Hope is a good thing, maybe the best of things, and no good thing ever dies." This hopeful resolution leaves a lasting impact. To create a great ending, resolve the main conflict in a way that aligns with your story's themes. In The Great Gatsby, Gatsby's tragic end reinforces the novel's themes of unattainable dreams and the American dream's dark side. Unexpected twists can also make endings memorable. In The Sixth Sense, the revelation about Dr. Crow is a twist that reshapes the entire story. This kind of ending can leave audiences thinking about your story long after it's over. Balance is key. Too much surprise can feel like a trick, but too little can be predictable. Aim for a resolution that feels earned. J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter series ends with a battle that resolves the long-standing conflict, but also leaves room for hope and new beginnings. Practice writing multiple endings for your story. Experiment with different resolutions and see which one feels most satisfying. This exercise can help you find the perfect balance between surprising and satisfying. Chapter 8: Cultural Conflicts. Integrating diverse perspectives to enrich your story. Integrating cultural conflicts into your story can add depth and authenticity. These conflicts reflect real-world issues and can make your narrative more engaging. A study found that 67% of readers prefer stories with diverse perspectives. In The Joy Luck Club, Amy Tan explores cultural conflicts between Chinese-American daughters and their immigrant mothers. This adds layers of complexity and makes the story relatable to a wider audience. Tan said, "In America, nobody says you have to keep the circumstances somebody else gives you." To weave cultural conflicts into your story, start by understanding the cultures you're writing about. Authenticity is crucial. In Persepolis, Marjane Satrapi's graphic novel, the cultural conflict in Iran adds a powerful layer to her personal story. Use these conflicts to drive character development. In Crazy Rich Asians, Rachel Chu's struggle with traditional Asian values versus modern Western ideals fuels the story's drama and humor. This conflict shapes her character arc and adds depth to the narrative. Show multiple perspectives to enrich your story. In The God of Small Things, Arundhati Roy presents different viewpoints on the same cultural conflict, adding complexity and richness to the narrative. Chapter 9: Conflict as a Catalyst. Using adversity to propel your story forward. Conflict isn't just for drama, it's a powerful tool to propel your story forward. A well-placed conflict can shift the narrative and push your characters to evolve. Did you know that 80% of best-selling novels feature significant turning points driven by conflict? Take The Hunger Games. Katniss's initial conflict, surviving the games, propels her into a larger rebellion against an oppressive regime. Suzanne Collins uses this conflict to drive the entire series forward. Adversity can reveal new aspects of your characters. In Gone with the Wind, Scarlett O'Hara's struggles during the Civil War reveal her resilience and determination. Margaret Mitchell said, "Life's under no obligation to give us what we expect." Use conflicts to introduce new plot points. In Jurassic Park, the conflict with the dinosaurs leads to discoveries about human hubris and survival. Each conflict propels the story into new, thrilling territory. Practice layering conflicts to keep your story dynamic. In The Matrix, Neo's battle against the machines is layered with his internal struggle to understand his identity. This dual conflict keeps the audience engaged on multiple levels.